So I'm going to start talking about my road to 100 million. I started with, I think, $2,000, $3,000, and I want to get to 100 million. I'm going to update you guys on each step that I'm doing, where I'm at. I'm up to 1 million now, so I just hit $1 million. And I'm going to talk about how I got there, how I would do it again if a lot of things have changed, right? There's a lot of really good tools, AI, ChatGPT, Grok, etc. So there's loads of tools now that actually make it a lot easier. My first stage, if you've missed out on the journey so far, my first stage was to get 3 jobs. So if you want to invest, if you want to make money, you need to invest, you need to get real estate, you need to get stocks, you need to get crypto, you need to get Bitcoin, etc. And without income, you can't do that, right? How are you going to do that if you ain't got any money? So my first job was to get 3 jobs. So I really smashed that. That gave me enough money to pay for my rent, pay for my bills, pay for my life. And the extra, I didn't care if I lost it, right? Because I'm working 3 jobs. I've already got my bills paid. Yes, it was tiring. I was working all day, all evening, but I was finally able to make an extra 2,000, 3,000. It grew up to 4,000 a month that I was able to invest in the markets. And as you guys know, I hit some 10Xs, 20Xs, some things I even got into done over 100X, right? So 100X means you turn $1,000 into $100,000, or you're doing $10,000 into $1 million. So we've done really well, purchased at the right times. I'm now up to $1 million. I have just purchased my first property, so I moved to Dubai. So I moved out to Dubai. Obviously, it makes sense. If you want to make money, the best thing you can do is reduce your costs. And taxes in Europe are around 40%, 45% in some places. And if I'm trying to make $1 million a year, and I'm paying 40% tax, then I'm going to be paying $400,000 a year tax. And in Dubai, I can buy a property every year for $400,000, right? So it made sense to me. Every year I'm in Dubai, I'm able to accumulate an extra property. So just got my first property. I brought it off plan, so I got a discount. So I went straight to the developer, purchased it from the developer, got a really good discount. It looks lovely. The quality is insane. There's a lovely infinity pool there. There's a gym there. There's a yoga room. There's a paddle court. So it has all the amenities that you'd want if you were coming to rent and stay in Dubai, or maybe you've just moved out to Dubai, right? It's really easy to sell when you've got all these lovely amenities. So that's my first property. That's probably going to bring in anywhere between $27,000 to $30,000 a year. Now I've got that cash flow to invest, right? I don't actually need that money because I'm still working, right? I'm still working to generate the income to pay for my bills, pay for my house, etc. So that's just going to be extra money now that I can invest straight into the markets. And if I can 10x that 30,000 a year, let's just call it 30,000 a year. If I can 10x that, that's $300,000 a year. And I'm confident that I can 10x that. That would be $300,000 a year of passive income, which is in Dubai is a property. If you're going straight to the developer, if you're buying properties from the developer off plan, yes, you have to wait 2 years, maybe 3 years for them to be built, but you're going to get property appreciation on that as well, right? So I can go to developers, I can buy more properties, and then eventually my goal short term is to acquire 3 properties, which is going to bring in around $90,000 to $100,000 a year. And if I can 10x that, that's 10 million a year. So this is all on the road to trying to make 100 million. That's my target, but I'm taking it slow, right? I've just hit $1 million. The first million is the hardest. After this, it does get easier. Obviously, I haven't been through this before, but everything I've read, everyone I've spoke to said the first million is the hardest. And unless you're a complete idiot, you're not going to lose the rest. And real estate to me was a no-brainer, right? Getting real estate was an absolute no-brainer. I know a lot of people, it's really cool now to say real estate is not the best play and it's better to go for stocks because you'll get more returns. But hey, who knows what's going to happen in the tech market? Who knows what's going to happen with AI? Who knows what's going to happen in the stock market? The stock market does carry some risks, whereas real estate, we know that there's only a limited amount of land, and depending on where you're buying real estate, right? If you're buying real estate in countries that are going downhill, or their currencies are going into hyperinflation, yes, there's a lot of risks there. If you're buying property where there's tsunamis and where there's regular earthquakes, yes, there's risks there. But if you're doing your research and you're buying in places where the GDP is going up, and the value of the properties are going up, and also the people coming into the country are valuable, right? If you look at Dubai, I think they had around 10,000 millionaires move here in 2025, which is up massively up from 2024. So I think saying that the property is going to increase by 10% a year is probably quite conservative. So that's my goal. Short term, go into real estate. On the side, right, I still am buying Bitcoin. I'm still going to buy stocks. I'm going to diversify into multiple assets. End game, so when we start getting over 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, that's where I'm going to start to diversify even further into lower risk assets, right? The more money I make, the less risk I want to take. Once I have 3 properties, you could say you can never lose, right? Because once you have three properties, you've got this endless amount of cash flow coming in. It becomes very hard to lose. And what a lot of the top guys do is they put 1% into multiple different assets. So they'll have 1% in gold, 1% in silver, 1% in Bitcoin, 1% in uranium, 1% in orange juice, whatever, right? They'll diversify so much that if a certain sector is booming, they're going to get exposure to that. And then if a certain sector tanks and doesn't do very well, they only had 1% in orange juice, right? Let's say orange juice collapses for whatever reason. They only had 1% in orange juice. That's where I want to get to. I'm not quite there right now, but that's the level of diversification that I would love to get to. So follow along if you want to follow my journey to 100 million. We're going, I think it was $2,000 or $3,000 I started with. So $2,000 or $3,000 to 100 million. I want to hit 100 million in the next 8 years, right? I'm not trying to make this overnight. I'm not trying to do this in a year, and I'm going to document it as well. So I just hit 1 million. Can we hit 100 million in 8 years? And you guys are going to be able to see exactly what I'm doing and what worked and what didn't work as well. So hopefully you'll be able to learn from this as well. So drop a follow to stay up to date with the journey. Until then, I'll catch you in the next one.